when people say like, well, aren't you worried about buying at the top of the market? Like what caused you to pull the trigger and not just say, well, I'll wait for a crash?
So I think that was part of it, just for me, knowing that I have to move anyway, and I'm going to be spending tons of money on rent anyway. It just lined up that this was a just do it now. You need a place to live anyway. Even if I do poorly on the end, even if I break even coming out of this, as long as I'm not losing more than like 50 grand, like it's still a win. So I didn't have any of that scare about, because the market was hot when I
Yeah.
purchased this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So you're kind of playing with a bank of $50,000 because you knew you're going to rent that much and you knew
yeah,
you were going to be here for 4 years. So that wasn't any question that you weren't going to sell in that 4 years. So if the market crashed, you're like, well, I mean, I'm here anyway. So that makes
yeah.
sense.
And if it does crash, there's that exit strategy with just hold it
Yep.
and
Well, the other thing is
rent.
just knowing about what kind of property you bought. You bought one that has the ability to force appreciation, right? So you didn't buy
Right.
the turnkey fancy house that is selling at the top of the market. It sat on the market for a while, which in a hot market is rare. So you know that you have the ability to fix it up. Although that's a part-time job or full-time job in and of itself.
Yeah, it is. It was a little more work than I was expecting it to be, but yeah, that was like another layer of protection for me as well. So like the fact that either way, with just where I am in my life right now, I'm losing money. This is kind of like a win for me would be to lose less money. Like, so I'm kind of going into this with mentality like I'm losing money anyway.
Yeah.
Like I'm not looking, and maybe for newer investors, like that's a good place to start mentally, is not have great expectations. I'm not expecting this to be I'm not planning to profit a lot. It would be awesome if I could. So like that would be one reason why I wouldn't sell. At the end of my 4 years, when it's time to move on, is if the market's good again and I can profit a lot. But I had the exit strategy where I could rent it, and I have the appreciation value that I was able to force into it by cleaning it up, and
Yeah.
like that whole bathroom got renovated. I have guys there now refinishing the floors, and there was hardwood there, so it looked awful. But when it's finished, it's going to be beautiful.
That's awesome.
Brand new finished hardwood. So yeah,
Cool.
so layers of protection in this deal for that.
Yep. That's awesome. Good for you. Did you have the thought process of, and this is kind of a loaded question, so you can say I didn't, you can say no, but do you have the thought process of, once I'm a physician, I'm going to have extra income and I need to know where to put that other than your typical stock market? So like learning at this point in the real estate would be a smart idea for my future when I have extra money to figure out what I'm going to do with it.
A little bit, yeah.
Like obviously
So
there's a lot of ifs, like a lot of things have to work out. So I'm just thinking,
right,
I know a lot of physicians that will call me and say, hey, I want to buy property because I have money. I have extra money. I don't want to put it in the stock market, but to renovate a house, haven't ever done it. So I don't know. So they have to do the turnkey. Whereas you learning this at this point in your life, like you'll have the ability to at least know the ins and outs a little bit of renovating if you get to that point and you like that process.
yeah, and it kind of crossed my mind a little bit too, that this would be something I would continue to do once that physician income comes into play. So as a first year, like survival is kind of like I'm nearsighted at the moment, but I was thinking about how I'm accumulating skills almost on this parallel kind of course of study, I guess, with real estate that I can use in the future, and not only to do maybe more advanced strategies or strategies that require more capital up front, but even on the lending side, to like a few years or decades into my career, at that point, hopefully, especially if things go well now and I'm accumulating properties on the way, I could even get into the note writing side of real estate investing.
The bank side, they're the ones with the big They're the ones that have the big buildings. That's the side that you want to be on and you want to get to. You want to own real estate's great, but when you own the note on the real estate, that's when you know.
Yeah. So having that background,
Yeah.
like if now is boots on the ground because I've been figuring out how and learning how certain things need to be renovated, might might come into play if I decide I don't want to actually do the work. I have the ability to lend to people who are trying to get started or who do want to get the work. I could have some insight into what exactly they're doing and what their challenges are going to be and if it's going to be a good idea. So I might even slide into another niche, or I might just continue to buy and renovate properties and stuff like that with the income too. But
Yeah.
either way, however I do it as like my primary career continues, I'm planning as of right now to kind of keep real estate as something else I'm doing. And it would be really cool if that ends up being something that I do for my primary source of income and wealth. And then, I can just practice medicine because that's what I want to do.
Yep.
And I'm not obligated to a job.
With as much or as little detail as you want to share. So this is up to you. How did you finance your first purchase? Like what did it look like? What cash did you bring? What bank financing? All that good stuff.
Yeah. And this was probably one of the bigger obstacles to getting started, like logistically for me. But it was probably one of the bigger hurdles that I had to figure out, like, how am I going to make that work? Because I had burned out of my previous career, which is maybe one of the reasons too why real estate appealed to me so much at the time, because I was in a bad place where I was working. Not good. Not a good environment, not a good system. And I was stuck to it.
Yeah.
And that can't happen again. So I was coming out here for school to be a student, so I didn't have income, and I wasn't I have no plans to get a W-2 job because I'm fully occupied.
Yeah. Even if you weren't doing real estate, that position school is full-time plus.
Yeah. Yep. And that's where real estate is also great with the house hacking options. Like I can actually generate a little bit of income, maybe even borrow less toward my mortgage with the extra rooms. So like that's great there too. But it makes it very hard to qualify for loans. Yes. But one of the recommendations that stood out was to talk to the local banks. So when I got out here, that was one of the first things I had done. It was your advice to get that pre-approval letter first. That was kind of the trick for me, was just calling lenders. One of them I spoke to on the phone, and she was like, "Yes, and to fill out the application, and we'll see what we can do with like a cosigner or something like that." Never heard from her again. One of them at Bank Iowa was able to a lot more flexible with, let's look at how we can actually make this happen. So what we ended up doing was, it worked for me because I had the money saved because I've always been really frugal. So I put down 20%. So I wanted a larger down payment for sure out of me. And then my mom was willing to co-sign. And the bank was able to make that work. So
that's so a conventional, but you had to have a larger down payment than a lot of first-time home buyers, which,
right.
It's no fun, but it's at least a way to get in, and your money isn't spent, it's put into a property. That's
right. And it makes you feel like like you're an investor too, like, oh, my money is tied up in an investment right now. I can't, but it's great. Yeah. Because hopefully I'll get it back at some point. Yeah. And a lot of the on the blogs and in the books, the strategies were tailored to how to avoid paying a large down payment. And my situation was kind of backward. I had a large down payment, like I had the ability to do that, but I didn't have the ability to qualify for the loan. So I just had to talk with people and see, like, I have this, I can't do this. How do we get around it?
Yep.
So yeah, the smaller banks pulled through there for sure.
Yep. Yeah, good for you. Because a lot of people in that situation would buy that on contract and put it on, an 8 to 10% interest loan. And you're like, no, because I'm planning to be here for 4 years. This isn't, I'm out in 6 months. This is like, I can't do that. So you probably got a pretty reasonable interest rate, and
Yep.
That way you could turn it into a true rental if you wanted to down the line.
Exactly. And I had thought for a little bit about, well, what if I did the hard money thing? But with this being my first purchase, going to have trouble attracting someone to begin with. And then it's just going to take too long at that interest rate to be a good idea. I'm going to get buried.
Yep. No,
Which
you
in
did a good
retrospect,
job.
now that I've been trying to rehab for a while, like that was a good idea because
Yeah.
they would have been like,
Yeah, even
a nightmare.
professional rehabbers. I mean, they'll do hard money at 6 months, and I'm like, I mean, you can do it, but
It's brave, but yeah.
yeah, what if the windows, take 12 weeks, right? Like they have in the COVID world. So that's 4 months, 3 months. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, what do you do? So you can't do anything. You keep paying your hard money. So good for you.
Yeah.
Way to fight that and not, hard money is a way. It's not the only way. And you found a way to kind of get the best of both worlds. So good for you. Cool, cool. Well, I'll let you go on with your day. I appreciate it. And we will stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully I'll make it to the meetup on Friday mornings.
Yep. Friday
Before
morning.
class.
Perfect.
I try.
Cool. We'll see you, bud.
See ya. Thanks, Darson.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.